Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
Cowboys projected to have interest in controversial three-time Pro Bowl WR. Not long ago, Saints star Michael Thomas was arguably the best receiver in the game, on his way to a sure spot in the Hall of Fame. That was before a series of unfortunate events, injuries, a very public battle with his coach, and social media digs at his quarterback derailed things and left him here. Still a free agent at the end of May, perhaps a bit too toxic for most teams to touch, but the Cowboys are not most teams, right? Dallas has always had a willingness to absorb talented players who have been discarded elsewhere. Thomas has talent and plays a position of need for the Cowboys, who have contract holdout CeeDee Lamb and 31-year-old Brandon Cooks as their top two receivers, with untested options, Jalen Tolbert, Kayvontae Turpin looking to replace the since-released Michael Gallup. Thomas could rebuild what remains of his career with the Cowboys. He is 31 years old, so his days of leading the league in receptions, he did that twice, and set an NFL record for catches with 149 in 2019, and yardage, he did that once, are behind him. But he is still a high-ceiling, low-risk gamble at a position of need for Dallas. And at CBS Sports in an article titled, "Ranking Players Cowboys Could Add Before Training Camp," these ex-Pro Bowlers would help Dallas in a big way. The argument is made that Thomas should be one of those ex-Pro Bowlers. Cowboys have 4 roster spots and plenty of needs. CBS analyst Garrett Podale notes that the Cowboys have 4 roster spots available, and writes, since Dallas has 4 remaining roster spots, here's a look at 4 players whom it may be interested in adding, based on its needs and potential price tag ahead of training camp. In connection with Thomas, 3-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Michael Thomas, now 31 years old, simply hasn't been the same since earning 2019 NFL Offensive Player of the Year honors after setting the NFL single-season record for catches with 149 to go along with a league-leading 1,725 receiving yards, as well as 9 receiving touchdowns. Injuries have robbed him of critical prime years in the 2020s, as he has played just 20 games the last 4 seasons, totaling 1,057 yards and 95 catches with 4 receiving touchdowns from 2020 to 23. If the Cowboys believe he has a chance at staying healthy and want to bring in someone to push Jalen Tolbert for their 3rd wide receiver spot, this signing could make sense. Tolbert is the early favorite to win the number 3 job, but he has been shaky at best. 2 seasons into his career. He was a 3rd-round pick from South Alabama in 2022 and has logged 24 catches for 280 yards with 2 touchdowns in his 2 seasons. He posted a grade of 56.5 at Pro Football Focus, which ranked 103rd out of 128 receivers in the NFL. Michael Thomas comes with excessive baggage. Thomas topped that number from Tolbert. He totaled 448 yards in 10 games in 2023 with 1 touchdown catch and was graded out at 67.4, which was a career low by PFF. There is more to Thomas's status as free agent than his numbers, though. He struggled last year even after the departure of ex-Saints coach and nemesis Sean Payton, with whom Thomas publicly feuded over the timing of his ankle surgery in 2020. His exit from New Orleans was ugly. The Saints had given him a record $97 million contract 5 years ago, and that deal helped make him an easy target. Several times in recent years, the team implied that he had not been honest about his injuries. He also had legal woes last season, as he was, according to ESPN, arrested on misdemeanor charges of simple battery and criminal mischief in November when he had an altercation with a contractor who was doing work in Thomas's neighborhood. It did not help either that Thomas lodged more than one social media complaint against new Saints quarterback Derek Carr. Thus, if the Cowboys brought him in, Thomas would bring a considerable past baggage with him, but he would also bring a Pro Bowl past. Cowboys projected to regret head-scratching free agent move once the draft had passed and it dawned on the Cowboys that a running back had not fallen into their laps as they'd hoped. The move was obvious. Dallas needed to fill a hole in the backfield, and former Cowboys great Ezekiel Elliott needed a job. The Cowboys locked him up on a minimum contract. It was a win for sentimentality. But was it really a win on the field for the Cowboys, who dropped Elliott a year ago because it was clear he just was not effective anymore? He had an uninspiring season playing for a terrible Patriots team, and now it appears the Cowboys will call on him to head a committee that also features Rico Dowdle, 2022 6th-rounder Deuce Vaughn, and newly signed Royce Freeman. The Cowboys have downplayed the idea that the team will lean on Elliott as the lead back. But the other trio in the committee combined for 727 yards last year on a total of 184 carries. These are not exactly workhorse numbers. Elliott had 642 yards on 184 carries. According to Bleacher Report, this all sets up a very regrettable situation for the Cowboys. Cowboys made a risky move. Indeed, Elliott was not the same running back in 2022, when Tony Pollard essentially wiped his job as the Cowboys starter. He showed flashes, but on the whole, he was no better with the Patriots in 2023. Thus, in an article titled 10 Draft Picks, Trades, Signings from 2024 NFL Offseason That Teams Will Regret Most, BR analyst Christopher Knox highlights the decision to bring back Elliott. The Dallas Cowboys' decision to bring back Ezekiel Elliott wasn't risky. It was a flat-out head-scratching move, Knox wrote. No one should be particularly excited about Elliott's return. The 28-year-old has lost most of the burst he showcased early in his career and has seen his efficiency dip dramatically over the last 2 years. He averaged 3.8 yards per carry with Dallas in 2022 and just 3.5 yards per carry last season with the New England Patriots. The Cowboys simply aren't likely to field a quality rushing attack this season, which is a big problem. How much a problem it will be can be debated. The Cowboys' running game was middle of the pack in 2023, putting up 1,920 yards, which was 14th in the NFL. Yet Dallas led the league in points and was 5th in total yardage. They can withstand a mediocre running game if Dak Prescott shines like he did in the 2023 regular season. Ezekiel Elliott will not be asked to be a workhorse. But do the Cowboys even have enough to be middle of the road? Given the lack of proven production in the rest of the lineup, this could all end up with the team relying heavily on Elliott. Coach Mike McCarthy was asked about Elliott having to be a workhorse for the Cowboys. "I don't think that's fair," he said. "What do you mean? The guy carried the ball more than anybody in the history of football in the first couple of years. That's not going to be his role. We're a running back by committee. He'll definitely play at the level that he's played at in my time here. I anticipate that. I don't see any drop-off in the way he moves." Elliott has as sterling a resume as a Cowboys running back as just about any in franchise history. He led the league in rushing as a rookie and again in his third season, and led the NFL in yards per game for his first 3 years at 108.7 yards, 98.3, and 95.6. He scored 68 touchdowns in 7 seasons. His drop-off was considerable over the past 2 years, though. The Cowboys are counting on him to turn that around. They might regret that, though.